This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Oh, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. What will they think of next? Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Okay.
I liked you saying that you'll try not to spoil your great start. It sounded like a sort of a note to self.
Yes,
right at the beginning.
I'm a big fan of a note to self.
Me too.
Yeah, I might send a note to Will Self.
Yeah.
Which I'll then publish publicly as a note to self.
You know, you're not as clever as you think you are.
Has he ever cashed in on the note to self
I don't
thing?
think
Do you
so.
No, he doesn't look like a bloke who has fun in any context.
I don't think he's cashed in on the, you're not as clever as you think you are either.
He's a massive fan. No, he's not. He's a massive fan of Jason Derulo, apparently.
Is he?
Yeah.
Franks wants to talk about Jason
No,
Derulo.
I hadn't heard of Jason Derulo till, 15 minutes ago when Emily and...
it was about 11 minutes ago,
and
yeah.
Sarah, 11 minutes ago. Sarah, the producer, and Emily told me about Jason Derulo, who's an American singer guy. He's not just a bloke who comes and measures stuff. He's an American singer who says his name, I'm told, by the ladies. He says his name at the beginning of every song.
He does.
What if he does cover versions? What does he do then? Jason Derulo's out for summer. Well,
it was one of those difficult...
That'd be a great thing to put on his answer phone. Jason Derulo's out for summer.
It was one of those difficult conversations, Al, where everything I said just got met with blank looks by Frank. I said, it's EDM. He said, I don't know what that is.
I don't know, that sounded like a drug.
I mean, I know what that
it's
is.
electronic. Yeah, what is it, Al?
It's electronic dance music,
Yeah. Exactly.
What we might call dance music or house, even.
Oh, yeah.
Jason Derulo, though, they're saying the name at the beginning of the song. I previously encountered this in the 90s. Sometimes, your rappers like to do this. Also, Toni Braxton. Are you familiar with her?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
She would say, Toni Braxton.
What is it? What is it? All the writing around... Did they feel that writing might come to a sudden end and they'll be left with...
Maybe it's the equivalent of putting an idea in the post and sending it to you for copyright.
Yeah.
Jerry Lee Lewis did it, so it's not a new phenomenon.
Oh, did he?
Alan Cochrane likes it. He's all right with it.
Doesn't he? Jerry Lee Lewis would say things like, if there was a song that said, it'll be me and I'll be... searching for you, it'll be Jerry Lee and I'll be searching so yeah, he did it very well.
To be fair, you do start every single show by saying this is the Frank Skinner show.
Well, yes, but rules is a rules. Anyway, congratulations to all our Scottish listeners for...
What did they win?
Well, I thought it was going to be plain sailing last night. I thought, well, man, as Ian Wright said, 4-0 before the game.
4-0, 3-1 annoyed me a bit.
And it was a fabulous reality check, which we all need.
Yes.
I'm not a massive fan of reality, but I think that
was
we needed that.
Graeme Souness. I mean, that was a big old bite of the reality sandwich he gave us. What about when he kept saying ain't, which bothered me.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
You know what, lads? It ain't happening. It just ain't happening.
Oh, no.
And then he said, I tell you what, if you carry on playing like that, it ain't coming home.
Oh, yes. Well, that's correct, but we won't carry on playing like that. Don't worry, Graham.
Okay.
With your big white teeth.
Oh.
I mean, come on. We were told, when I began in television, which was, I think, was 1948, we were told you can't wear white on screen because it flares. Well, surely... You can't bring those teeth into a studio because it needs to get a bit of tea. They used to put tea on people's white shirts and stuff, soak them in tea to take the edge off. He just needs to have a mouthful of Thai food if he holds that for 25 minutes before that. Because it was, they were flaring like there was no tomorrow. It was like watching a Vangelis gig.
Oh.
Anyway,
Roy Keane gets
that's what
very animated as well,
yes,
doesn't he?
yeah, he's a bit
Yeah.
frightening. Anyway, good girl.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Do you think if when Graeme Souness rings his wife, he says, "I tell you what, I ain't coming home"? Does he say "ain't" all the time?
I hope so. He,
He might say good girl. I don't know.
I think he FaceTimes her, and she has to put shades on because of
Yeah.
the teeth.
The teeth.
Oh,
They're so detached from reality for a man of that age, though, aren't they? If you, I mean,
well, he's a
you must
handsome
have-
man, though. I'll give him that.
Oh,
still,
yeah.
still handsome. Soon,
Sorry.
I think so. I'll tell you what made me think, because he was a football hard
Is
man.
he still handsome? It's not often someone says two words and I disagree with both those two words.
Oh dear, well, we're all, you know, handsomeness is obviously a subjective thing.
Yeah,
What I liked about him is that he was a hard man footballer. He was creative, but he really did leave her foot in. He was that kind of player. But then there was, after he retired, you used to see lots of photos of him out dining with the late Dale Winton. And I thought,
Really?
I thought, oh, he must be a bit more multifaceted than we think, Graeme Souness. Not, you know, you think he'd be out with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
He had that feel. So, you know, I quite like him, actually, if I'm going to be fair.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what was a bit of a interesting moment this week was the Ronaldo Coca-Cola moment. Did you see that?
Yes.
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 In case you didn't see it, Coca-Cola. No, look, we absolutely love all forms of sponsorship and advertising here at Absolute Radio, of course. But Coca-Cola have got this thing of putting two bottles at the front next to the microphone.
Yeah.
I suppose the fact we're talking about it is...
Are we allowed to
Yeah.
or we get in trouble?
I think we're all right. We were sponsored by if you remember in our early years, we were sponsored by My Mum's Cola for quite a while.
I thought it was Panda.
Yeah, I think Panda. No, Panda. I think they got the Christian O'Connell show. But anyway. So he picked up the two Coke bottles, put them under the desk, and then held up a water bottle and said, "Water," in Portuguese, I believe. And it's caused, apparently, Coca-Cola's share prices dropped 4 billion on the international market.
Yeah.
Like they care. 4 billion. So yeah, it became a thing, and as I say, we wouldn't do it here. It just does show, though. I've worked a lot for the BBC and also worked a lot for ITV on television, and worked for BBC Radio and worked here commercial radio. And if you're not getting sponsored or something, then there's a lot. You know, people used to say. They'd review your show and say it was a terrible waste of licence payers' money. Yeah. No one's ever said what a terrible waste of advertisers' money, because they don't care. But so we have tremendous freedom here. I also remember being a guest on a BBC Six show, which you think is perhaps one of the most honourable of the BBC.
Yes, yeah.
And there was only one person working on the show who's being paid. The rest
Wow.
were there for the glory of their experience. So, you know, we can all learn from that, I think.
Yeah.
Wouldn't happen. It's absolute. Well, we care about our staff. Speaking of Coca-Cola, is it true? I'm sure I've asked this before, but I don't know the answer. Is it true that if I was to take one of my teeth out and put it in Coca-Cola overnight, the next day it would be gone?
And what would happen if you take one of Graeme Souness's
Well, it
teeth
would
out?
have evaporated, and there'd be a radiation leak in the local area.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had many people asking the question that I'll round it up with 199's text message to the show. Frank, when Three Lions plays during your show, do you receive royalties, and does this count as being paid twice in the same period of time for the same job? Elizabeth,
It's a
avid
very-
occasional listener.
It's a very good question.
We've had a few, Frank. We've also had 311 sort of a briefer, quick question. Has Frank just made a few quid by playing his own track on the radio?
Well, of course, people listening on the decade channels, we won't have just played Three Lions, although we have tried to do a Three Lions for every decade to try and cover this. I don't know. I said this many times, but we didn't make anywhere near the amount of money out of Three Lions that David Baddiel occasionally when we meet up brings this subject up, and we wonder if anything dark and untoward has happened, which has kept it from us.
Very hard to believe.
So I think in the days now of playing stuff on radio and streaming, you get about 500th of a halfpenny for something. And then I got to split that with Dave, and Ian Brody gets 2 shares because he wrote all the music. Look, I'm not, where's my violin?
I mean, let's not start crowdfunding the guy.
No, it's not what it's about. It's about the joy of it. That's what it's about.
But still, other people brought it up, so you have to discuss.
I know. If it wasn't for the money, I'd be doing adverts.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Wouldn't we all?
Okay.
Wouldn't we all?
Well, I
Frank,
would, yeah.
Nugget 48. Read Jason Derulo. Frank, what about hello? My name is Johnny Cash.
Yeah, but that's not part of his song. That's his catchphrase. A catchphrase, one could argue, is more or less unstealable.
Yeah, and quite common parlance as well.
It's adaptable if it was Pat
Hello, my name
Cash.
is.
I saw him on stage with, was it the Highwaymen, that sort of supergroup, country music supergroup. And they'd been on stage and done about 3 numbers before he stepped forward and said, hello, I'm Johnny Cash. And it was great that it was quite hard, 20 minutes into the gig. But I have to say, every time I hear him say it, gives me a tremendous tingle.
Eddie O'Keefe has
Or a tongue, as they call it in France, I believe.
Eddie O'Keefe has just responded to one of the topics we're dealing with this morning, which is what would happen to Graeme Souness's teeth if you put them in a glass of Coke.
Oh, yeah.
Eddie O'Keefe has solved this. If you put Graeme's tooth in Coke, it'll light up like magnesium in a secondary school science class.
That would be good to see. Apparently, Graeme sleeps with an upper and lower gum shield full of Daddy's brown sauce, which whitens his teeth through the night. I don't know if you ever put an old coin in brown sauce overnight, but the next day it sparkles beautifully. So that apparently that's his method. Apparently, it's an old Scottish trick.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Oh, let me tell you something. I was having my, I believe what they call in London, lunch, what I used to call dinner in the old days, but it was, the midday sort of meal.
Oh, yes.
And
we call that lunch, yeah.
Now, look, let's start by saying we've all had to sell books in our time, and we have to do certain things that maybe we wouldn't do normally.
Yeah.
Al, I think, used to sell encyclopedias door to door.
I've sold a few books on eBay lately.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you referring, Frank, to promotional appearances yet?
A thing that they've started doing now, I noticed, they used to have their book behind them on the bookshelf, their new book. But what they've started doing now is turning it to face the camera.
Yes.
In the bookshelf, you mean?
Yeah, which is a very poor use of space to have a book facing outwards on a book. So they've done it. It's really... it's very Coca-Cola bottle in front of Cristiano.
Yes.
It's really tight. I mean, we all sell stuff, but come on. Anyway, I was watching Politics Live with my lunch.
And on the British Broadcasting Corporation.
On the BBC.
It's not on GB News, Al.
And Martin Lewis was
the money-saving expert.
Money-saving expert.
That's interesting that Al knows who that is.
We've all been out for a drink with them in our times. Who's round is it? Where's Martin? This is round, isn't it? Oh, no, he's gone. The money-saving expert seems to be in the toilet. Anyway, So I was braced for the book in the background. There's a lot of that. So he's there. What has he got on his bookshelf? He's obviously cleared some books. He's got an array of awards behind him.
Saving money.
But, well, yeah, awards for saving money, basically.
What,
I think you'd given him one, Al. Was it Alan Cochrane Award?
Are they personal awards, like 1997, left the pub before buying your round?
They were all awards. And there was even... his OBE he'd got, it comes in a case. He'd got that open and upright like a birthday card. With his OBE behind him. I mean, come on. Be a bit. I'm imagining he arrives at places. You know when you get those ones where the cops hold up their badge in films when they turn up. Martin arrives at a restaurant, OBE.
I think he's probably like my mother was, which was she'd go into a newsagent, 20 Silcott, and I went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. Do they have? So, what other awards does a money-saving expert?
Well, I froze. In fact, I'll send you that. Maybe someone will recognise it. I took a picture of it, and we'll put it up on our social media. Maybe some will recognise some of his awards. They're all things like, the Asda Price Star and stuff like that.
I think he's done quite a lot of campaigns about financial literacy and stuff like that. So
yeah, and I think he does that thing of buying jumpers from Oxfam, and then he unwinds all the wool and knits a new jumper.
That's nice.
That's one of his money-saving expert tips. I say this of ML.
ML?
I looked him up on the rich list. Apparently he's worth 123 million.
Frank.
God, I should have stopped with the BBC. Their money's gone up a bit.
That man is made of money.
Well, that's because he saves so much. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't. Perhaps he's selling the OBE. That's why it's up behind him. Oh man, I couldn't. But I mean, modesty. I thought Raheem Sterling was going to be wearing his last night. It's all just come out with him.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Speaking of such matters, I got a email from Absolute Radio this week. Anyway, bye. Oh. No. I got an email.
No longer required.
For my 9-year-old son.
Out our notice.
Yeah, but this was for Buzz from Paul Sylvester. Paul Sylvester is one of the mighty figures at Absolute Radio.
Yeah.
The puppet master.
Fabulous
he's
man.
The puppet master, yeah.
Fabulous man. I mean, I know I would say that, wouldn't I?
I'll say one thing about Paul, and I always say this, he smells lovely.
He is so fragrant, that man.
It's something I've never managed to carry on.
Very citrusy, I find.
Yeah, whereas I'm more life boy, if you know what I mean. But anyways, he's a top man, and it's proved by this story, I think, because he forwarded a little video. Do you still say video? Is that still a word?
Yeah.
Anyway, for Bars, so are you familiar with the phrase jaw dropping?
Oh, yes.
Now, I didn't think it was a literal thing. I didn't think people's jaws actually drop. I gave Buzz this thing. He's 9, in case you don't know, and he puts the video on, and I visibly watched his jaw literally drop. And that's because it was a personal message from Alice Cooper. What? Thanking him because Buzz is a massive fan.
No.
So after I showed Buzz's birthday cake on social media, which my partner had made, and which was an Alice Cooper cake, Paul contacted Planet Rock. Is it Planet Rock where Alice Cooper does the show? They contacted Alice. He sent the video. It was honestly, if ever you see a 9-year-old kid in utter, he watched it 50 times.
My jaw's dropped now.
Yeah.
Alice, good old Alice.
Good old Alice. And at the end, he sort of says thanks for being a big fan of mine, much appreciated and all that. And then he does a whole thing pretending that he comes into the studio and I leave it in a mess for him.
He did a bit of business.
So he did a bit of comedy, and then at the end he just goes, Buzz, rock. Oh!
Cool.
But it was, what a top man.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
And Buzz was telling me that he, I don't know if it's still alive, but he had a boa constrictor.
Yes, I remember that.
Alice Cooper. Yeah, do you know what it was called now?
No, I never asked him.
It was called...
Easy.
It was called Julius Squeezer.
Oh, that's good.
And that made me think, you know, me and David Baddiel had a cat called Chairman Meow. And I just thought, there are some... especially puns. You know, the whole idea of a joke is that you do it and then it's gone, but they just, the ones that are set in stone. Like Joe Root, the England cricket captain, his number, you can choose a number to have on your back, and he has 66 is his number. So it says Root on the top and then 66.
Oh, come on, that's brilliant.
But it's a pun.
That's nice.
You know what I mean? It's a pun that's ongoing. There must be still people going, oh, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
So if anyone else can think of any jokes built to last like that, not please don't be unkind.
You know, this whole story has made me such a huge fan of the AC.
Well, it's the nicest thing that he went to. And Paul Sylvester said, I just thought, well, I'll give it a try. And he said it was all back in, in a few days he'd done it and sent it off, and it was all nicely done. It was brilliant. Good old Alice. And Alice Cooper, you remember, I sort of fell in love with when I interviewed him in a strange spiritual moment. So maybe I knew then the good in there. Once you get past Julius, as he likes to call it.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, and email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Oh, it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe. I tell you what, it ain't coming home. Frank Dean from Leicester has got in touch.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Dino.
Actually, Graeme Souness would probably say, that's as maybe. He wouldn't say maybe. Dean from Leicester has got in touch. You were talking earlier about Alice Cooper's snake, boa constrictor, who is called, Frank?
Julius Squeezer. I mean, he did have one that died. This might have been an earlier one, but he certainly owned a snake called Julius Squeezer that constricted.
How long do snakes live?
Oh, you can't give me that kind of hospital pass on live radio.
It wasn't direct.
Now everyone's thinking, oh, Frank Skinner didn't even know how long snakes live.
It was a general. I was addressing the nation because
I think they live between 4 and 5 years.
Al, what are you going for?
I'm going to go.
I bet it's long.
3.
I bet no.
Do you know what I'm going? I'm going 12.
I think it's probably longer than that. I tell you, I've always felt there are the two kinds of enjoyable conversations. Ones where everyone knows what they're talking about, and ones where nobody knows. The worst thing in a pub is when you start having an argument and there's a bloke who's read a book about it or something. I say bloke, it's usually a bloke. You're talking about football and they say the trouble is they used to play 4-4-2, but they've changed. You just think, it's not even worth having the conversation there. No all.
Yeah, I'm going to go 12 years.
And it is a source of constant joy to me that the phrase "know all" is an insult.
Yes.
Like do-gooder.
Although that is I'm fine with that.
No. Crowd pleaser.
Let's go back
That's
to
good.
Dean from Leicester.
Dean. Humdrum days and humdrum ways, humdrum days.
Who says at uni, they always say uni, the young ones now.
Yes, I blame neighbours.
Yes, you're right. In our day, it was university.
They used to say university, and then the Australian influence.
It's very Aussie.
When people started ending sentences like this.
You're going to uni?
Yeah, and then they started talking about uni, yeah.
Uni in Erinsborough?
Anyway, what's Dino got to say about it?
At uni, there was a local stray cat that used to hang around our halls of residence. One of the guys in our flat nicknamed him David Meowie on account of his 2 different coloured eyes.
Oh, very good.
Be well all.
That's all right.
Yeah, David Bowie. Was he?
Be well all.
Yeah, just be well all. Do you
Be
like
well all,
that?
okay.
Interesting.
A few words on that,
It's an
Al.
enjoyable sign-off. Yeah, I like it.
It's quite
It's not
sort of,
that easy to say, is it? Be well all.
it's quite a
No.
Davros. Be well all. It's a bit. I like it.
Davros. I was watching some Davros this week. No one has rages. I mean, he really, man, what a job that must have been to scream and shout.
Al, can I tell you something I've never said? I was watching some Davros this week.
You brought up Davros.
I did.
Yes.
Okay.
In further news, guys, Brian Simmons from Aberystwyth says we gave our chickens Star Wars themed names: Princess Leia,
That's excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Luke Skywalker,
That's good,
right.
but it's good to have a pair.
and Han Solo.
That's good.
All
Oh,
right.
that's good.
I do. Yeah, I like that.
those.
That's
All
good.
right.
They're very fine. And
I thought they were going to be foul at first, but they're really good.
See again, Al. I love the way Al embroiders. He's not satisfied to leave. He thinks, no, I'm just gonna. You know, when the corsage goes past, he's the one that throws the extra flowers, and I love him for that.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Okay, so I had a lovely letter from Kerry. Kerry lives in Shirley in the West Midlands. Shirley that actually has got an Indian restaurant called the Shirley Temple. I kid you
That's
not.
good.
And I don't know if you remember, I told you guys recently that I was walking in my environs and I saw a big box of New Yorker magazines and it said help yourself. And I really wanted to take them all. And then I went away and came back again and I just couldn't pick them up. I don't know why I didn't got the courage to do it. And she has sent me a New Yorker very sweetly. She also celebrates her 50th birthday on Monday the 14th of June. And
Congratulations.
says happy birthday from you guys. Happy birthday from you guys would be Colston. I think she means Coulston. I think she's going to be Edward Colston, which is a slightly different angle. Coulston is sort of southeast London-y, Croydon-y place with a D.
Yeah.
And Edward Colston is an ex-statue. Well, he's still a statue, but he's got all dirty.
He's a statue no longer in situ.
Exactly. Very nice. Yeah. And interestingly, this week I was walking with Buzz down the street, and someone had done a similar thing on their step of help yourself, including a 1,000-piece Tintin jigsaw.
Wow.
I think based on the stories, something lotus, black lotus, red lotus, blue lotus, one of the loti. And Buzz just picked him up, kept
You see?
walking. He just got.
Good lad.
This is the that's the difference, Frank.
Innocence of youth. He said,
Didn't
help
overthink
yourself.
it.
Yeah. Innocence, help yourself. He wanted it. He took it. That was it. There was no soul searching. He didn't go away and come back.
Well,
I think it's fair to say that you overthought it, didn't you?
I did.
Do you know,
I've also felt that if you want the epitome of hope and optimism, take the person who buys a second-hand jigsaw.
I
To
thought,
me, that'll always have missing piece. Always, always. But maybe it won't.
I think the difference between you and Buzz, perhaps, if I may say this to the National Poetry Czar, may I recommend, by the way, that everyone listens to Frank's Poetry podcast, which is so brilliant. And
Whee!
may I... Not quite the response I expected.
Legend.
That's a montage of me reading poetry and then running up some steps.
Well, I would like to put it to the Tsar that the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock that's summed up in that in some ways. It's the will I wear my trousers rolled. Oz wouldn't ask that question.
He just rolled
the trousers.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what? Take the New Yorkers. Caroline has been in touch. 29th of May, the missive starts. New Yorker magazines.
Oh, yeah.
I switched on the radio this morning as Frank was telling the tale of missing out on a pile of New Yorker magazines. We have a WhatsApp group of 20 Verdi Group ladies who worked on the film Florence Foster Jenkins.
Okay.
When she says Verdi Group ladies, I mean, are they just massive fans of Giuseppe? Or
Yeah, it sounds like it, doesn't it?
I think it might be a marketing company.
Okay.
In the film, we were her close friends and supporters, despite her awful voice. So they played minor roles, I assume, in the film.
Okay.
On the 20th of May, one of them asked an American friend in our group if she would be interested in a big pile of New Yorker magazines.
Okay.
The answer was yes. I'm so sorry, Frank. Now,
Yeah, she didn't say, "Whoa, I don't know if I can say yes to it." Yeah, okay.
there you go.
Yeah. It's the Florence Foster Jenkins film. I got a feeling I should know who that is, morally.
Do you know who it is?
No.
I only know who it is because Hugh Grant's in it and I watch every film he's in, including both Paddingtons.
Did they call her Flofo?
She was a notoriously bad singer who was very wealthy, and so it's a bit like Citizen Kane's wife.
Okay.
Okay.
Or Three Lions.
Who are you referring to, Frank?
Similar setup.
I ask you again, Minister.
No, I plead the fifth.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
I'm going to confess to you, I'm a little disappointed in the wider world today. Usually they let us know things that we're interested in. I really thought we'd know the life cycle of a snake by now.
Oh, yeah.
How long? We still haven't been told that. But they have told us some interesting things about Joe Biden's vehicle that we were discussing last week.
Oh, the Beast.
The Beast. You remember the Beast?
Oh, God, yeah.
Apparently, the Beast can withstand an egg attack to the windscreen. Simon Whale tells us.
An egg attack?
You can't just wash off. You can't just wash off egg white with windscreen wipers. It just smudges and blocks your view.
Is that right?
It sounds like the voice of experience for Simon there.
Have you never been pelted with eggs?
Well, it used to be a thing on the last day of school. You used to see youths on the street covered in eggs and flour that they'd thrown at each other. But I haven't seen that for a while.
It's happened to me.
I did get egg thrown at my back on a Halloween one night.
That's no
a long time ago. No.
Awful.
I lived to tell the tale, though. So that's,
well, you have literally lived to tell it. Demonstrably true.
Yeah.
I got pelted with eggs when I was a student, and you know what? I probably deserved it.
Oh, what was the context?
There was no context. There were just some youths. I was walking down the street.
Oh, youths.
And I got pelted.
I wonder if our original texter who says that you can't just wash off egg white with windscreen wipers, if it was a particularly hot day and you put the windscreen wipers on, could you create scrambled egg?
Could you scramble?
That's what.
Yes. I dislike scrambled eggs.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Do you?
I'll tell you what my problem is. I think
This might be the most controversial thing you've ever said.
It's such an amazing feat of natural engineering, the yolk suspended in the middle of that. It's been, people go on and on about the ship in the bottle, but the yolk suspended in the middle of that complete shell is oh God, yeah, it's still a big thing, the ship in the bottle. And
is it?
It's is it not big in Manchester? It's because the canal's not as busy as it was. I think it's like a sort of nature's Coke float.
Oh,
the egg.
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame to scramble it.
Do you know, that's so fascinating because I find the yolk makes me feel a bit illy. And And it's the one thing I like to
A bit
destroy.
Illy Nastasi.
I like to destroy all evidence of the yolk's existence, hence me preferring the scramble. It just there's a lot of, it feels a bit organic, the matter surrounding it, and I've seen too many bits in it.
I just think the fact that a chicken can knock out a yolk suspended inside a solid.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Princess Leia.
Great work. Yeah, Princess Leia, respectamundo.
Boys, Al mentioned, we're talking about Biden. Old Pa Biden had his first presidential summit, did ye see, with your pal, Frank? Vladimir Putin.
That's my pal. I like it. I saw it was, they were talking about it. The headline said Putin, Biden, blah, blah. And Putin, Biden, doesn't that sound like a small picturesque village in Leicestershire? Yes, I passed through Putin, Biden. It's very lovely there. They have very good ice cream at that shop on the corner. Yes, it was a lovely shots of them sitting awkwardly together having their photo stock.
So awkward, and he had to choose some gifts, which we will be discussing presently. All I can say is quite a difficult person to buy gifts for, perhaps. Would you say?
Well, let's find out.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Breaking this news just in on snake's life expectancy.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen this, Al?
It must differ from snake to snake, does it?
Well,
Yeah, I don't think they all have exactly the same life
No.
expectancy. That would be odd.
yes.
But I mean breeds of snake, you know.
Yeah.
Well, is it 983 has got in touch. Hi, everyone. Snakes can live for 5 to 30 years. Oldest recorded was a python in 2020 who was 62.
Wow.
62-year-old python.
Yeah. Well, sure is hot in this basket.
Many
a
of the
bit of
human
a
pythons are
slippery
old now as
individual.
well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I'm not a 62-year-old snake.
Do they go grey? But they probably look grey because they shed their skins, don't they?
Their skin,
Unlike humans.
their skin gets very dry, I suspect.
Does
No,
it?
I think their skin is quite dry.
Is
But
it?
if they keep shedding it, it's basically like having facelift after facelift.
Oh,
Yeah.
lucky devils.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about Grandpappy Biden and meeting with Putin. And Putin got some gifts.
Oh, he did.
He did. Yeah. Biden gave him some expensive sunglasses, like the aviator ones.
Yeah.
Well, like the aviators, they were, in fact.
They are those. Yeah.
The,
I got pulled up by. I think I might have told you this, but maybe not from this angle. I was on a road trip in going across America with Adrian Childs.
Oh, that was the Wallace and Gromit one.
Yeah, and the Sky Sports News reporter Bryn Law, and we were pulled over for speeding, literally by one of those American cops in aviator classes, and I did feel like saying,
Cool.
"Come on, fight the stereotype, mate." You know, get some of those. You know, those ones like football fans wear with like Venetian blinds instead of shades, with like the national flag on. Get some of those.
Oh, Frank, what about the New Year's ones? Oh, it's like the
I
Millennium.
tell you what, you never see any. Do you remember the Elvis ones that had holes in the? What do they call that? The stem, is it? They call it?
Yes.
Yeah, no one else has adopted. They'll always be Elvis glasses, and I only ever see them on Elvis impersonators. You don't see people wearing those casually.
No, they had a brief resurgence,
Shame.
but more, as you say, in a sort of ironic way. They're more the preserve of the fancy dress.
They'll always be Elvis shades. One of my favourite Elvis pictures, and I have many, is Elvis doing karate wearing those shades. Oh, fantastic.
I love Elvis, so I like to think that unites all of us, that photograph, in so many ways.
My all-time favourite Elvis photo is him in a full-length leather jacket and shades at night, carrying a large torch at the scene of a road accident. Where they used to listen into police radio, and because he'd been given police badges as gifts, but he just used to turn up at the accident and have a look at the scene. And it's just him at night, shades, walking around by this. It really is one of the great.
I think he was quite pally with Nixon, wasn't he? That was a good horse
I don't
to
know.
back.
He went to visit. He went to visit Nixon, and got some badges and memorabilia. There's a great bit where Nixon gives him a badge, and he said, I got a wife as well. And he gives him another, like a badge. And then he's taking him out this drawer. Then Elvis goes over to the drawer and says, what else you got in there? And
Next
starts
thing will be
going through Nixon's drawer.
They'll be putting
What
them
are
on
these
display.
cassettes?
Like Martin Lewis, Frank.
Yeah, what's these cassettes that's been edited?
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. I mean, catch him while you can.
Well, the aviators are the American military sunglass. They're the shade of choice. They're very, I don't know, but I've been told.
Yeah, well, I know not just the American. When I was on the North-South Korea border, the South Korean soldiers who stand with rifles raised, aimed at North Korea.
At the DMZ? You thought DMZ?
Exactly. Electric Music Zoo. The dank music show. I can't do it. And they just stand in their uniforms. Not right. Guns sort of at chest level. Stand in a locked stance, and they all wear aviator shades, and they just stare at North Korea. And then on the hour, they go away, and some more South Korean soldiers in aviator shades come to stare.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's the most male place I've ever been in my life.
Really?
And I've been to an Alan Cochrane gig.
And you spend time at West Bromwich Albion sometimes too, don't you?
Yeah, but
And I've been to West Ham.
That's a terrible stereotyping that we don't have many female supporters. Take that back. Anyway, do you think Biden was saying he's lost a bit of weight? The president, his hair's not yellow anymore, and someone said. No, they've changed the president. And he said, change the president? What kind of talk is that? Absolutely outraged. Change the most ridiculous thing I've ever... Anyway.
Well, he handed over, I don't know if he personally handed over, an aide picked these items, didn't they, Al? But
We don't know.
Well,
okay, but they were the...
I heard that Biden's a bit of a prankster and that he got them to put the inside of the glasses with boot polish and left a sort of a ring around each eye on Putin.
That would be great.
I wish he'd put under the chair a real Bronx cheer. The old whoopee cushion. And then, when they sit down, it's all silent. You can just hear the little, the cameras going. That's all you hear.
Well,
the shutters going. And if you just heard the real Bronx cheer... Oh.
I should say, yes, that is apparently that's on every whoopee cushion that Emily's seen, the real Bronx cheer.
Do you think Putin would have done... How do you think he would have responded to that?
Well, I watched the Oliver Stone interviews with Putin, and in that, I told you they watched Dr. Strangelove together, which is an interesting film to show to a Russian leader. And at the end of it, he said, yes, it's good, and I know people like this. And and Oliver Stone says, have the DVD, and he gives, and Putin leaves, and then Oliver Stone sort of saying to camera, I thought that went pretty well. He took it, and suddenly the door opens again, and Putin comes in and says, very American gift, and opens the DVD box, and it's empty. I thought that was a very fine gag on Mr. Puter, Mr. Puter's part. Is that the VP? So, I think he might have a sense of humour, but it might be very cruel. That's what I'm thinking. Very, very cruel.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. All these alternatives are available.
And actually, 740 said if they played the whoopee cushion prank, would they call it a top trumps? That's from Angle.
Good.
One of our
That is
regulars.
good. Oh, he loves a pun.
So meanwhile, over at the Geneva Summit, boys, which we were discussing.
Can I tell you something about
Changing the subject.
Yeah.
Oh, right, this was all at the Geneva Summit.
at the Geneva Summit? If that is where it was. I used to talk to you about the pictures they used to have in the local press when I was a kid. That if, for example, somebody was going to university, a local person had got to Oxford or something, they'd have a picture of them in a mortarboard hat with a big pile of books. And if they were doing, I don't know if they were doing science, they might have a Bunsen burner in the other hand.
Yeah.
And the whole picture. I think there's theory that people can't read.
Yeah.
I noticed the way they set this up. They had Putin sitting under an American flag and sitting under a Russian flag, and Biden under an American flag. Then they had a globe of the world in the middle,
globe.
and they sat Biden on the west of it. And I thought, I know who they are. I know who they are and what they do for a living. You don't have to go crazy.
To be honest,
go on.
I think that's actually not for our benefit. I think it's for Joe Biden's, because he doesn't know where he is. I think they're trying to help him.
Joe.
Look, I'm sorry, Trump's gone. We have to get over it. I know it's sad. He's gone. But you know, I read something that said that was the first time Donald Trump accepted that he wasn't president anymore. Was when he saw the summit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That must be hard. There's someone else in your chair, as it were.
Especially with Vlad.
Yeah, because
Come on.
they did get on well. What next? Is he going to be meeting Kim Jong? Or is he eel?
Yeah.
We should say, as in addition, guys, to the, I don't know, but I've been told, aviators, he also gifted him a lovely crystal bison.
Yeah, not just lovely, but quite pricey. $3,200 worth.
Is that what it said on the Buffalo Bill?
Oh, come on.
Yes, it's. Can I say never?
$95 for the base.
I know, that was incredible.
I love that you know how much the base
It's a
cost.
lot for a base, isn't it?
It's cherry, it was. Cherry wood.
Well, that was classy, that he opted for the cherry wood base was optional, and I thought that was tremendously classy. I'm not going to lie, I think I would have gone without the base.
Yeah.
I don't like to boast. I'm not saying that they got ripped off, but my crystal bison that I've got in this room with me was £8.
Well, for me,
Taxpayers' money they've spent on that.
they call it crystal, but it's glass, isn't it, basically? And please, never buy me anything that's glass. I just think it's the worst. Especially that, the glass with the squiggly paint in the middle of it, which I'm sure is very clever, and I can't work out how they do it, but I've seen
Is it
now.
though?
I think it is.
Can I?
In fact, the clownfish, I believe, was named after their two most popular sales items. The clown with the glass with squiggly paint and the fish. I went to Elton John's villa in Nice, and he's got loads of the glass with squiggly paint in it. Loves it. That was a shock.
Well, I heard he was a
shall I
sculptor.
bring it
He
up?
would like it. He said, if I was a sculptor.
I know, but he never said if I was one of those guys who sort of blew glass whilst adding paint to the mix.
But then
that
again-
would be exciting.
No.
But make everyone see. No, it really is the worst. What glass with squiggly painting items do you have at your home? 8, 12, 15. I can only think of the clown and the fish, but there must be other ones. Is there the drunk leaning on lamppost? That rings a bell, but I could be wrong.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
The bison.
We were talking about Joe Bison.
Joe Bison. Well, boys,
Yeah.
it is the national mammal, the bison.
I bet you Putin calls that thing Joe Bison from that little statuette thing. I bet, where's Joe Bison? Ha ha ha! I can see right through him. Ha ha ha! I bet you.
I bet he took the gift and he said, thank you, felicitations, thank you. And then he walked out and he went, get the hammer, destroy.
Do you think?
Yeah, I don't think because it's quite an ugly sculpture.
What he should have given him a little Russian bear, and when he lifted it up off the surface, it went. Oh, it was a jingle thing. Oh, man.
There you go.
Oh, its joke's been ruined.
No, Frank, it's all right. All right.
God, timing is everything in this business.
Frank, the bear, of course, is the national mammal of Russia.
Yeah, that's why I'm suggesting
I
the
love
bear.
that idea.
The national mammal is he said that they gave him the bison because it's symbolic of their first president, George Washington. Why is that? I missed out on that.
Oh, it's something to do with the cherry wood. I don't quite understand.
No, I think it's something to do. Oh, he chopped down a cherry tree.
Frank, you see?
Yes, of course. He chopped down a cherry tree, and his
Hold on,
dad
knowledge.
said,
We got
his
there.
dad said, "Did you chop down that cherry tree?" And George Washington said, "I cannot tell a lie." Yes, I did.
Lovely.
So it wasn't the bison; it was the cherry wood.
Got it.
That
Well, I think when
explains.
Biden-
Sorry.
Yeah. No, go on.
I went to Cody, Wyoming, which was a town which was built by Buffalo Bill Cody. And in the bar, there was a cherry wood section of the bar that had been given to him by Queen Victoria. I was about... Oh, no, you can't say that.
No.
What about that, then?
Okay.
That was a terrible flashback I had then. Awful.
Okay. Anyway.
Can I say that, the woman who lived next door to us who brought in the alarm clock that had got urine in it and put it on our kitchen table and said, can you fix that? Well, her husband obsessively sang this song, Little Georgie Washington never told a lie, Little Georgie Washington never told a lie. You could hear him in the yard in the morning when he got up. Little Georgie Washington never told a lie. You could hear him. Oh, man. So apparently,
the fact we're getting kind of regular updates on that family.
Yeah, exactly.
It's slightly Dickensian the way you're treating it.
It's been a long time ago, I must say.
Do you know what I saw a clip of the press conference, and do you know what I liked? Joe Biden.
You mean the press conference?
I call it the press conference. You know, when they do, Joe Biden did a press conference afterwards, and what I enjoyed is he did a bit of an Elvis, Joe Biden, because one of the reporters said, Mr. President, you famously told him he didn't have a soul.
Oh, wow.
I don't bring that up.
It's a big one.
And then she said, do you have a deeper understanding of him now? And you know how Joe responded?
Go on.
He just put on his aviators and he said, thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
And he left. And it was very very Clint
wow.
Eastwood, as if to say, I don't much care for people that like me, answer me questions. He didn't want to be on that stage.
That's no good. You've got to answer the questions. That's why you're there.
Oh, fine.
No, not good enough. Sorry. If little Georgie Washington never told a lie, I don't see why old Joe should be any different.
Fair dues.
Oh, man.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
The internet. Isn't it interesting?
Well, it's been useful this
it's not very
morning
good.
because it's provided us with photographic evidence of the clown and various other squiggly paint ornaments.
Oh, good.
John Hopkins, one of our regulars. My nan was the don of squiggly paint glass
Yeah, they are.
ornaments.
It's a Nan thing. I mean, there was an ornament when I was a kid which would have been perfect for Vladimir Putin, and it's the only glass ornament I think I'd accept, and it was a large brandy glass, and it was a 3-part display. There was a cat that's front paws was hooked, so you could hook them on the edge of the glass, and then a small mouse you put in the glass, and it was praying for mercy. And it's a sort of fabulous image of, I suppose, dictatorial oppression.
We've also heard from Bearcat123.
Oh, yeah?
Come on. Why did nobody ask about the difference between a buffalo and a bison? Very disappointing lack of effort, a bit like the 3 lions last night. Sorry, Bearcat.
Sorry, but it is a bit what people say about the buffalo and the bison. And the old joke used to be, you can't wash your hands in a buffalo. Do you remember? That was the punchline.
Oh, yeah.
I've got to say, I went to Yellowstone Park and I saw buffaloes sort of in the wild. And like, I'm a massive fan of, I grew up on westerns as a massive part of my life, and seeing real buffalo was quite a moment. But I don't want no glass one. Thank you.
No.
It was great.
We've also heard from Stephen Green.
Sorry.
No, go on.
Sorry, Al.
I was just going to say 754 has asked a good searching political question. Just wondering if Biden has hidden a listening device in the base of the Bison. I did wonder if that's why it was crystal, so that it was see-through, and Biden could blurt out to Putin, see, it's not bugged, look, you can look right through it.
Yeah, and didn't people have crystal sets as well, which were like little radio receivers that had a crystal in them?
Ah, did they?
Yeah, perhaps the whole thing's set up to be a receiver.
Okay.
Oh, we might have stumbled on something. What if talking about this on air leads to World War III? How would we feel there?
Have you been reading your little John le Carré novels again? I know you like your thrillers.
No, I've just been reading James Blunt's autobiography. Do you remember he said he'd stopped World War III, James Blunt? Beautiful.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
398 has texted us saying, guys, Trump isn't worried about Biden being at the summit. He's writing a book, quote, the book of all books.
Is he really?
Oh, yeah, that's what he's called it.
That's the real thing.
That's what he's called it.
Fantastic.
I really hope so.
I don't know if he's calling the book that, but he's referred to it as the book of all books. Of course he has.
I hope he calls it that. That means people who fancy reading all books are going to have a lot of time saved. They can just read that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think he wrote that big business one, did he?
What, the Bible?
You know that one about how to do a deal or whatever?
Oh, The Art of the Deal?
Yeah, I don't think he actually wrote it. But nobody writes anything anymore.
Co-wrote it.
They get people.
Good point.
Stephen Green has got in touch. When I was working...
You'll be back.
He'll be back, Al. When I was working with a small group of analyst programmers on an IT project...
He's drawn us in with this opener.
Yeah.
We'd scoot around to each other's desks while sat on our office chairs, the ones with wheels, and we would call this Davrossing. Hey, Davros, over here.
Oh, okay.
Do you approve?
Because Davros operates on a Dalek base.
Oh.
So he's sort of half Dalek.
Oh, is he?
Well, you know, he's actually, because a Dalek is actually a horrible squiggly
What's the other
jelly
half?
thing.
What's the other half of him then?
Well, no, he's in this thing, but I'm not sure where Davros begins and the Dalek base. I mean, he's very poorly. It's like he doesn't have any eyes, and his colouring is very pale.
Frank just called Davros better.
Yeah.
He looks very poorly.
He never looks well, Davros.
I've heard he's not himself. That's what I've heard.
No, and his hands and that.
Can't sunbathe. What do you expect of them?
His hands on the buttons are very sort of shaky, horrible, purple hand thing.
My mother's concern about whenever she watched Doctor Who was always that none of them had social lives.
I'm sure that's
She said
not
they never
true.
go out, or you never see them having a drink or talk or ringing friends.
Well, of course, we wouldn't have known that in Oldbury. we were used to not seeing the people off television around in the pubs. I don't know why. Unless it was Shaw Taylor's Police 5. They might have been on there. And he rode up. Great character, though.
Yeah. We've had other missives, haven't we, Al?
Yes, 444 has messaged us.
I thought that was you laughing in an aristocratic fashion.
That's how I laugh.
444.
Morning, chaps. Snakes can live for up to 30 years. It all depends on whether New World or Old World and the make or model meaning of the snake.
Yes.
Our UK slow worm, which is technically a lizard, can also live for 20 or 30 years. Yeah, I like the way they throw that in as if we all know it.
I didn't know that.
Worm,
no.
Technically a lizard.
But I wouldn't mind a T-shirt with technically a lizard on it.
Well, I'll call David Icke.
And,
he might be able to help you out.
And they tend to go blue in colour the older they get, so you can tell the really old
Tell
ones.
me about it, dear.
Like Davros. I would not be surprised to find he's got a bit of snake DNA in there somewhere. He's absolutely furious most of the time. There's no sort of off-duty Davros in Doctor Who. When he's talking about his, I remember the old days. I'm like, there's not. He's just fiendish or furious.
He starts. It's almost like one of those performances. He's a sort of Terry Scott figure in that he doesn't. There's not much range.
No.
He starts very high.
Well, he does. There's times when he's deceiving people, and then he can sound slightly friendly. But it's hard to be friendly when you look like that.
Does he never do sort of basic, does he never have lines which are like, oh, can you put that over there for me, please?
No, he doesn't. He's not. You don't really get much domestic Davros. Or domestos, as I call it.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
What was that thing that Jimmy Nail was in? Was that called Chancer? Do you remember that?
Oh, that was Clive Owen. He was in Spender.
Spender.
Yeah.
That's written by Martin Lewis, money saving expert. No.
Okay.
He likes no spender.
Yeah, exactly. Martin Lewis OBE, in case you forgot.
How did you know that information?
Got some good Davros detail for you here.
Oh, okay. Can I say, by the way, on the Davros front, before you go into this, that the domestic life of Davros being reduced by me, I admit it, to domestos, I think might be the greatest joke I've ever done.
Say that yourself.
Anyone who was on air hearing that, you've been present at something pretty special. I thought it was one of those. I said it, and I thought, you know what? It's a real gift. Not many people could have ever said that.
Not many people would have gone on to do a whole link about how great it was.
I think you're being a bit harsh on some of your other output there.
Thanks.
I'm going to say it.
That's kind of you, but I mean, the domestic life of
I thought that was a little bit shady, throwy out.
Yeah, it wasn't actually meant to be that.
I thought it was nice. Or domestos, as I call it.
205. Read Davros. There's an 8th Doctor audio story set in an alternative universe with Davros, where he starts out a loving, caring person before being corrupted by the S-Daleks from our universe. So maybe that's a typo, I don't know. It's a cracking listen they had. I bet you've already heard that.
Well, I haven't heard it, but I do love Big Finish, and Paul McGann's Doctor is very fine. I will say there's a TV thing where you get a bit of the childhood of Davros, but he's not really Davros.
Origin story.
Yeah, well,
Davros origin story.
But what I want is Davros as he is now, sitting at home. Like, I'd like him if he suddenly flashed up on Gogglebox with a wife who was quite an ordinary looking woman.
And Davros with his legs crossed. What I'd love.
I don't know if he has legs.
I'm not sure that.
But I'd love it occasionally. I'm just saying it would add to it if they just had the wife referred to occasionally off camera.
Yeah.
You just had him going, I can't talk now. Shut up, woman.
There is scope, definitely, for the sort of the casual home life of Davros. I'd definitely watch it.
We've also had He's also earned snakes called Count Strangler
Good.
and Cobra Winfrey.
Oh. Who's that by? Jez. I mean, that's great intel.
That's very good insider knowledge on the names of Alice Cooper's snakes.
And Barry Sturman Mole, I know we don't normally read praise, but I think projects outside of the rodeo, I'm going to make an exception for
Mr. Rodeo.
Barry Sturman Mole. A lot of love for your comedian's prayer book.
Oh.
I love this book, Frank Skinner. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. We've ended on praise, something I never
I'm
thought
sorry
would
I had
happen.
to do it,
Well,
Frank.
I did a bit of praise for myself today.
Yeah.
So what kind of a hypocrite?
Yeah.
Don't forget, you can download the latest episode of my poetry podcast every Wednesday from wherever you get your podcast. Don't think for a second I read that out off a piece of paper. I just said that off the top of my head in a casual way. Look, it's been lovely. Thank you so much for listening. If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, and we'll be back again next week. It's coming home.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.